What you are seeing now is the most tragic disaster scene in human aviation history. Two huge Boeing 747 passenger planes collided head-on the same runway. Flames shot into the sky, and the entire sky was dyed red. That day was March 27, 1977. 583 lives disappeared within just a few seconds. Today, we are going to talk about this public tragedy. On the afternoon of March 27, 1977, at Las Palmas International Airport in the Canary Islands of Spain, the phone rang. A cold male voice said there was a bomb in the airport. Before the staff could react, a loud explosion suddenly came from the terminal. Glass fragments flew everywhere, and passengers screamed and ran out. Airport staff rushed into the scene, and in the ruins, they received a second call. There was another bomb. For safety, the airport was forced to close immediately, and all flights were diverted to the nearby backup airport, Los Rodeos Airport on Tenerife Island. No one expected this decision would become the beginning of a disaster. At around 1 p.m., KLM landed first, but all parking stands were occupied. The tower told them to stop temporarily on the taxiway. Right after that, Pan Am 747 also landed, but also had no place to park, so it lined up behind the KLM aircraft. Passengers were anxious. KLM passengers got off the plane to get some air, but Pan Am passengers were stuck inside, nearly 400 people feeling dizzy and uncomfortable. KLM captain Van Zanten was extremely anxious because the company had strict rules. A long delay would affect pilot evaluation and might even cost him his license. So he made a decision that looked reasonable but was extremely dangerous. Refueled during the wait so that once the main airport reopened, they could return to Amsterdam immediately. This delayed them by another half hour and completely blocked Pan Am's path. Since KLM was blocking the way, Pan Am could only follow behind it. Time passed slowly. The sun was covered by clouds, moisture from the mountains rolled in, and white fog descended. In less than 10 minutes, the entire airport was a white blur. The tower could not see the runway. The pilots could not see ahead. Soon, Las Palmas reopened, and all planes began leaving one after another to return to Las Palmas. The tower ordered KLM 4805 to taxi to the end of the runway and turn around to prepare for takeoff. Then Pan Am received the instruction to follow behind and exit the runway at the third exit. It sounded fine, but this instruction became the fuse of fate. Pan Am's crew opened the navigation chart to find the third exit, but visibility was so low that even runway lights were blurry. They counted taxiways, number 1, number 2, this should be number 3, but they weren't sure. In fact, the third exit that day was too narrow and required 2 sharp turns, which a large Boeing 747 could barely make. So in the thick fog, they missed exit C3 and continued forward, planning to leave at the next exit. At this moment, KLM had already taxied to the end of the runway, completed a 180-degree turn, and was facing the takeoff direction. Van Zanten held the throttle, anxiously staring into the fog, ready to take off at any moment. The first officer reminded him, "We have not received takeoff clearance yet." Captain Van Zanten nodded. "I know, go request it." The first officer called the tower. "KLM 4805 ready for takeoff, requesting clearance." The tower replied, "After takeoff, turn right heading 040 and climb to 9,000 feet. This was the route clearance, telling them what to do after takeoff, but not giving permission to take off. But the radio channel was noisy. The tower and Pan Am were speaking almost simultaneously, and the signals overlapped. KLM only heard 2 words, takeoff. He thought he had been cleared, so he immediately pushed the throttles forward and said to the tower, "We are taking off." Unfortunately, the tower misunderstood KLM's message, hearing it as, "We are at takeoff position." The engines roared, and the giant Boeing 747 rushed into the fog. At this moment, Pan Am's crew also heard KLM's call, "We are taking off." They panicked and pressed the radio button. "Tower, Pan Am 1736 is still on the runway. Tell them to stop." But sadly, at the exact same moment Pan Am spoke, the tower was replying to KLM, "Okay, wait for takeoff clearance. I will notify you." The two signals overlapped, forming radio silence. Neither side could hear the other clearly. KLM didn't hear "wait for takeoff clearance," and the tower didn't hear that Pan Am was still on the runway. All they heard was one word: "Okay." Captain Van Zanten said firmly, "Okay, go." KLM 4805 started accelerating at full power. Runway lights flashed past the fuselage, vibrations increased, and the speed approached 300 kilometers an hour. At that moment, the first officer asked again, "Has Pan Am left the runway?" The engineer hesitated. "They haven't reported clear." Captain Van Zanten replied, "They have left." This sentence became the last words of all 248 people on the KLM plane. Pan Am was sliced in half and slid hundreds of meters. Of the 396 people on board, only 61 escaped from the tail section. That night, the sky over Tenerife burned. Later investigations showed this disaster was not a simple mistake, but caused by 5 deadly factors combined. KLM took off early without clearance. Radio signals overlapped, blocking key information. The airport had no radar. The tower could not visually confirm positions. Pan Am did not leave the runway at exit C3 as instructed. Fog caused extremely low visibility. KLM Captain Van Zanten was the chief flight instructor at the time, highly experienced, but made wrong decisions under authority and pressure. The first officer questioned him, but did not insist. This is a classic human factor disaster. Today, Tenerife Airport has been renamed Tenerife North Airport. A white memorial stands in the valley, with the names of the victims engraved on it. May such things never happen again. May the warning be remembered forever.